Well, hello, folks. Nice to see you. I got one thing to share with you now, just for fun, because I think it's really interesting and important. And then later, I'm going to do another video with some, mandatory or, must read, not mandatory, what should I say? If you're going to update your priors and be part of the 21st century, in particular this decade, the 2020s, you need to have this on your radar. It has to do with the crypto thing and the libertarian technocratic thing and Trump and Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and Curtis Yarvin and Balaji, all these people. You really need to understand them to understand what's going on today. A lot of the old tried and true analyses from historical perspectives or economic points of view or whatever, they still apply. They're still useful. They're still important, but they miss the forest for the trees today because we are in a totally different predicament now. And the accelerationism that's all around us is, wow. To me, it's extremely frightening, but I'll get into that in my next video. For now, I want to recommend that you see Citations Needed Show Beg, live show begathon. They're just asking people to support. It wasn't like a telethon. They only asked once. And then they had this incredibly cool guest on. She's really interesting and worth reading and knowing. Dr. Sarah E. Bond. She wrote a book called Strike, Labor Unions and Resistance in the Roman Empire. And she explains that, they didn't have a labor movement during the Roman Empire. She's very clear that, historians writing in the 18th century are writing for an 18th century audience from an 18th century point of view. So their interpretations of historical evidence are going to be different than someone in the 19th, 20th, or 21st century. We're all biased and we all are writing for our audience. So, these things change over time. You have to kind of update your perspective on looking at history, historical references, and also history books and so on. So she makes that clear. Resistance wasn't a word necessarily in ancient Rome, whether it's the Republic or Imperial Rome or whatever. One of the dictators, Sulla or Caesar, whatever. But they did have resistance. People would stop working and of course, the elites in Rome would say, the mob has gone crazy. So she discusses how we use words like the mob, these big words to insinuate that any organized group of people on the street pushing back against something are insane, lunatic mob. It's just, oh, they're crazy. They're a mob, as opposed to an organized group of people trying to make a point or to resist something, like she mentions Occupy Wall Street and so on. Whether or not these, demonstrations or resistance groups are effective or not, whether they're misguided or not, is another thing to debate. But you have Extinction Rebellion and whatever. These aren't mobs. These are organized groups of people pushing back against specific things. And of course, they're always characterized by people in power in these broad terms that are designed to elicit fear. And when I was talking to Curtis Yarvin, he was talking to people at this cafe and he was saying, the mob, the mob. revolution, revolution. This is the thing, has to be avoided. Anyway, that's the next video. But uh, also, I was thinking, she brought up this Elon Musk salute, right? So it's the first time I heard this term, but I really like it. It's called uh, Broicism, and it's a riff on not skepticism, but Stoicism. So it became very cool. I like the Stoics. Yesterday I was reading Seneca for a while. She made a good point. You have to be very careful about the translations that you're reading. Are you really reading Marcus Aurelius or not? A lot of these quotes that you see are fake quotes, or they're just bad interpretations of the text that we have from these writers. So it's important to mind your interpretation and your sources. Is the author really good at translating these sources for contemporary audiences? So skepticism was kind of co-opted by the bro crowd, and she criticizes that a little bit, and I thought was very good. I'd like to ask Massimo Pigliucci what he thinks of that, because it was very interesting. So Broicism, Brostoicism, whatever. I thought that was interesting. But anyway, how would we know if we don't know what Elon Musk's intentions were, why he used that specific gesture? It could have been an accident. It just I got caught up in the moment and felt like doing it that way. But he certainly knows what a Nazi salute is and a fascist Italian salute is. He knows exactly what that is. And, there can be no doubt about that. He's not living in a bubble that doesn't know about World War II. He said, other people, commentators said, I don't think he said anything, but commentators said, oh, it was just a, Roman salute. Well, why a Roman salute? I mean, what's the big deal about that? How is that going to be of the people, by the people, and for the people? There's nothing democratic about it. And so he does this salute. People interpret it as a Roman salute, as if that's fine, big deal. It's just a Roman salute. So she goes into the meaning behind that. Also, how would we know what a Roman salute is? The only way we could possibly know is through various lines of evidence, like paintings, art, fresco, statues, descriptions in documents, like let's say Seneca or somebody. Marcus Aurelius said, and I put my right hand on my breast above my heart, and then I flung it out at an upward angle, palm down, to signify my enthusiasm for the crowd's support for my initiatives of blah, 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 or something like that. And it became a salute. All these gladiator movies and stuff, they're not historically accurate by any stretch. They're just good movies, hopefully, entertaining. And they might get some things right and a lot of things wrong, but we learn from movies, don't we? And entertainment, and we think that's the same as learning from historical lines of historical evidence. So we would know what a Roman salute is by looking at the evidence, and there's really no evidence that a Roman salute like that ever existed. You can really interpret these broken statues in various ways, and there's nothing stating that gesture that in that statue is representative of the Roman salute. There's not much artistic or evidence either, and of course it's subject to interpretation. I don't know of any, but maybe I'm wrong, maybe you do, but there's no description of it. And there's no documented description of this is how you do a Roman salute. We know what a Nazi salute is and a fascist Italian salute is because we can see it. There's lots and lots of evidence for it, written, and there's film, and there's art and posters, all kinds of things. So we know what that signified, right? So anyway, beyond Musk, there's a bigger, deeper story that's taking over now. Trump is just a buffoon kind of front man, the singer of the band, but not really in control of the band. It's like the manager is more in control, or the engineers, or the producer, or whatever. And there is a big network of people and an ideological movement that's been going on since during the last financial crisis, prime mortgage crisis, for a long time, and it's been bubbling up, and it's been cohering and coalescing around various factors like technology and cryptocurrency and libertarianism and Austrian School of Economics. I've talked about that many times. And, it's been developing a long time, and some people saw it coming and were trying to figure it out. I was trying to figure it out, like, what do these people actually want? Well, some people, like Chris Hedges and other people, Michael Hudson and so on, they describe corporations as dictatorships. Maybe that's a bit metaphorical or a bit of a loose use of the term. But without a board of directors, or sometimes boards of directors can be captive, and of course there's shareholders in public corporations, but generally speaking, operationally, a CEO is kind of like a dictator in the sense that, the buck stops with them, and they can make decisions, strategic decisions and tactical decisions that impact the company. The workers are basically nothing. They're just used for their utilitarian purposes to earn profits, right? They can be hired and fired, just no big deal, right? So right now, I think what they're trying to do, the clique that's running things, that many conventional interpreters of current events don't even yet see, is that they want to delete our system and replace it with these network states. And you're not going to have any rights. Also, it's fun how these outlets like Zero Hedge and so on, and InfoWars pretend like George Soros is the bad guy and our billionaires are the good guys, when they're all going after the same thing, basically, and guilty of the same thing. So every accusation is a confession, as they say. Anyway, I'll stop here just to leave you with a short one. So the episode is from Citations Needed. It's a live show, Begathon, Ancient Rome and the False Histories Inspiring Musk and the MAGA World. And I think there's way more to it than the MAGA world. The MAGA world is just kind of like, the culture wars kind of front end excitement, the thing that holds your attention. But there's nothing really behind MAGA, or MAGA people don't understand what's really going on behind the scenes and what the oligarchs really want to achieve and who the players really are. They really don't understand that. They just want to make America great again. They want to have a decent job, a decent life. And, they're hoping that through their populist movement, people like Donald Trump are going to deliver for them. And he's not, unfortunately. He's kind of a chaotic thinker. I don't think he really has any strategy, really. He thinks tariffs are a great tools, so that's what he's obsessed with, so he uses that. And he doesn't really understand it very well. And people go along with him because, I don't think a lot of people in politics understand what's happening, but J.D. Vance does. I guarantee that. Anyway, go listen to that show. It's really, really interesting, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. So that's my curation for now. Take good care. William T. Out.